Want to get more out of your cruise? Stop wasting your time doing these things. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a travel agent that specializes in Princess Cruises, and today we're going to talk about time wasters. Your time is so precious during your cruise, so don't waste it. A huge thing we see with people is wasting their time standing in line at guest services. Now, there's definitely some times that you have to do this. We've had to do it for multiple things, including like our medallions not working properly. It's unavoidable at times. But there's other times where you can easily just message them on the app. We have done this for a lot of things where they can easily clear up an invoicing mistake, or for instance, just answering a simple question or a maintenance request. You can do that through the app, and then you're saving yourself so much time because you're not waiting in that long line. So many people, especially if it's their first cruise, tend to overpack. Then they're spending so much time unpacking, trying to organize their stuff, find where they put that one specific pair of shoes that they want to wear. Simplify, 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 and don't worry too much about how much stuff you have. You don't need a ton. One thing I would recommend actually spending time on is if you bring less stuff, there is self-serve laundry. So take advantage of that and use that time, because then you aren't searching for different stuff and you're not spending that time unpacking and then trying to find all the things when it's time to repack at the end of the cruise. A mistake that we have made on so many cruises, and only learned this recently, that this is not a good idea, and that is sleeping in and being late for breakfast and missing the morning activities. We, for a lot of our cruises, have been like, hey, we're on vacation, we're gonna sleep in. But unfortunately, everyone's also sleeping in. So you get there and the dining room's already closed and the buffet is a madhouse, and then half your morning's already over. Then suddenly you're into lunch and the day just goes on and you feel like you really haven't had much time. Now we make a huge effort to set an alarm, usually for 7 or 6:30, depending on what time the dining room opens at. We make an effort to go to the dining room as soon as it's open, have a calm sit-down meal, and then we're ready to start our day. I can't stay up super late anyway because I have a small child, but usually we're not really super late people anyway, so it makes sense to spend most of our day being able to be relaxed and have a casual morning instead of being rushed because we slept in too late. We've also definitely wasted time just wandering around trying to figure out what the heck to do. The Medallion app is fantastic for being able to see what's going on. You can check on your phone, or you can check at any of the portals that have the schedule. Also, just check your Princess Powder. We tend to skim it the night before, the night before the day, so that way we can check if there's anything that we didn't come across. We also check the app fairly regularly, so that way we can make sure that we haven't missed out on stuff. Of course, if you're like, I'm totally fine just lounging around and reading right now, or relaxing, or listening to music, or swimming, whatever you want to do, then go at it. But don't waste your time just doing nothing and you're like bored because you didn't take the time to go through the app and see about all the crazy activities that are going on. If the elevators are super busy and you're only going up 1 or 2 flights, take the stairs. Now, I know this is not an option for everyone. My daughter is in a wheelchair, so this is usually not an option for us. But if we don't have her with us, for instance, we're just running back to the stateroom for something, especially if we're just going down the stairs, we often will just take the stairs. Instead of standing around waiting for an elevator, especially during those busy times, it makes so much more sense just to go. Back before she had the wheelchair, she did have a stroller, and we definitely took the stroller upstairs. My limit was 2 flights down or 1 flight up, and now I can't because the wheelchair is heavier than my child is. But at the time, we would make that effort because it's like sometimes, especially like getting back on the ship, for instance, we just need to go up 1 flight. Sometimes you also need to go up to go down depending on how busy it is. We love, love, love the smart elevators on the Sun Princess. So if you're on the Sun or the Star Princess, the smart elevators save you so much time. It seems like you're waiting sometimes for quite a while, but honestly, most of the time it's so much faster than waiting for a typical elevator. I hope they could put this on all the ships because we just loved it so much. A mistake I definitely made on my first couple of cruises was trying to hunt for a pool chair at the busy main pools. There are tons of pools on the ship that you can go to that are less busy. There's usually a pool towards kind of the front of the ship, like the sanctuary pool, but not in the sanctuary. The Lotus pool is usually what it's called. There's also either the terrace pool or the Wakeview pool. If you're on the Sphere class ship, you have the dome pool. Go and check other pools so that way you're not always worrying about getting to the main pool and trying to find a chair there. Also, if you're like, hey, I just need somewhere to throw down my stuff, go up 1 more deck because there's usually chairs around like above the pool deck, depending on what ship you're on, like the Royal class ships. We often found tons of seating just outside the entrance of the gym. or like going around to the other side, there's usually tons of seating there. So if you're looking just for a place to plop your stuff, or you just want to lie down and not have to worry about the craziness that is the pool deck, highly recommend just going around and checking out some other decks instead of like circling around that pool deck. Or if your heart isn't set on swimming or going to the pool, go do something else. There's so much stuff that's happening on the ship. We, like our first couple of cruises, all we thought was, oh, we just had to go sit at the pool on a sea day. This is what you do on a sea day, right? You go swimming. There's so many activities that are going on. I don't even know the last time I was in a ship pool. I honestly couldn't tell you. It's been a long time because we just do so many other things now that we don't need to go into the pools. If you're finding this video helpful, be sure to subscribe for more Princess Cruises specific tips, tricks, and advice. Don't waste your time sitting through those sales pitches and the art auctions if you're not interested. Now, I will admit sometimes we'll go to an art auction just because we find it entertaining, but if you're not actually interested in going to like the shopping places and hearing the shopping spiels, don't waste your time in going to them. We prefer like the port talks over the excursion talks or the shopping talks because that's not what we're interested in. Don't waste your time sitting through something if you're not interested in it. You can easily walk out of a port talk if you are not interested in it. No one's going to be offended, and if they are, let them, because it's your time. You don't want to have that wasted. Anytime that we have like anyone that's trying to sell us something, and this applies on the ship or off the ship, we just say no thank you and keep walking. Cabo San Lucas, I do not like this port at all because I found that it was a lot of sales people like constantly harassing us, and it got to a point where I was just like bulldozing my way through because they were trying to like stand in front of my daughter's wheelchair and stuff. But you do not have to listen to their sales pitches. You do not have to listen to their spiels and stuff like that. Don't waste your time doing it if you're not interested. If you are interested in buying a piece of jewelry and you want to go to the jewelry talk, go right ahead. I don't recommend going when they're offering like free jewelry for sitting through this talk if you're not actually interested in purchasing, because honestly, it's just costume jewelry that they're giving away for free. It's nothing fancy. Sure, they're going to have a draw, but like how much of your time are you wasting sitting on these things? I know from my mother's experience with one friend where they went to the shopping talk and got a coupon booklet, and then they spent their entire day at this one port going to all the shops to collect all the like little charmy things. And it was a complete waste of their day because at the end of the day, they had these charm things, but they didn't see anything that they wanted to see. They didn't spend time doing any of the things they wanted to do. So don't waste your time on doing those things unless you're like, yes, oh, I want to collect all those charms. That's my plan for this port. That kind of thing, you go and do you. But if you don't want to do something, make sure you don't waste your time doing it because you only have so much time on your cruise. Don't waste your time booking excursions when you're on board. 1, you're going to pay a lot more for it. 2, they might be sold out. 3, don't waste your time standing in lines. This also applies for dining reservations. I highly recommend doing all your dining reservations in advance. Why waste time on your cruise standing in line to make a reservation when you could have done that in advance online in your own time when you feel like doing it? Your excursions, you want to make sure that you are booking those early enough so you don't miss out. Sometimes there are times where you're going to have to stand in line because you get some notification saying, hey, this is what's wrong with your excursion, or your excursion's been canceled and stuff like that. That's kind of unavoidable standing in line. But if you're just delaying booking your excursions until you're on board, I don't recommend doing that because you don't want to be wasting your cruise time standing in line waiting. I also don't recommend waiting in lines for things like eating. If you can avoid the buffet, we were buffet people for the longest time until recently we discovered the amazingness that is the dining room, and now we eat in that as much as possible. I highly recommend if you're like me and you get overwhelmed by the crowds and the busyness that is the buffet, go to the dining room. The main dining room is open for breakfast usually every day and usually for lunch on sea days. So make sure you take advantage of that. Sometimes it's open on port days too, kind of depends on the ship. Also make sure you have those dining reservations and that way you don't have to stand in a line. If you are like, hey, I'm not gonna worry about dining reservations, I'm just gonna show up for dinner, show up at an off time. Don't eat at a typical time because then you'll be waiting longer. We tended to go like as soon as they opened because we were like first in line and then there was no waiting for a seat. Another option is to wait till like late in the evening, but obviously that's not super fun either if you want to eat at a decent time. I also recommend hitting up the buffet during off-peak times as well, so you're not waiting. Some ships this is easier than others. We found on the Sun Princess because the crew is serving it, and it's also just weird dining times that we just found that the buffet didn't open early enough for when we wanted to eat, and then once it did open, it was very busy. We found that the back buffet in the Americana Diner was much less busier, and we could easily get our food. We would also pick up some food from the promenade, just knowing where you can grab food that might be a little less busy so you're not wasting so much time just standing in line for food. Don't waste your time going back to your stateroom 7 million times. We tend to have a good flow where we go up in the morning, we go to breakfast, we come back to the stateroom for a little bit, and then we're out most of the day until the afternoon. We try not to go back to the stateroom 7 million times, so make sure that you have anything that you might need with you, camera, chargers, that kind of thing, so you're not wasting time constantly going back to the stateroom. Especially if it's a sea day and the elevators are going to be busy, you don't want to have to go back and forth 7 million times because you're just wasting your time instead of enjoying your cruise. If this is your first cruise, you definitely want to check out our video on rookie mistakes because we lay out all the mistakes that you could be making on your first cruise. So if it is your first cruise, make sure you watch this video so you can avoid them.